To discuss the playbook that Asia has used to make huge strides in tech innovation, please welcome Dr. Yoon Kim, the President and Chief Strategy Officer of 12 Labs, Chih-I, Senior Technology Expert at the Industrial Technology Research Institute, Mika Takagi, Director General of the New Energy and Industrial Technology Development Organization's Washington, D.C. office, and Chandrasekar Venkatraman, Principal Research Scientist at Hitachi. The conversation will be moderated by Jane Kim, Principal at Emzo Consulting and Advisor to SCSP.
All right. Can you hear us well? Does this work? Are you guys able to hear us? Wonderful. Well, this is great. Thank you for coming to the SCSP Expo and also for joining us at this really timely and interesting panel. Asia hosts some of the most vibrant and innovative ecosystems, yet it's not really often we get a chance, at least here in DC, to get a little bit of an insight about what are the factors that contribute most critically to the tech successes of our Asian nation allies and countries. Who are the players? What are the levers and what are the strategies? How do they all come together to create, build, sustain, and develop an innovative ecosystem, especially at a time when there is so much progress happening in AI and emerging technology? My name is Jane Kim Coloseus. I am your moderator for today's conversation on the Asian Playbook for Tech Innovation. I'm really delighted to join this panel with such distinguished experts and guests here. They have all been working in Japan, in Taiwan, in South Korea to scale and drive innovation as well. So let me just quickly introduce our panelists and we'll get right into it. So next to me we have Dr. Chih-I, Vice President and Senior Technology Expert at the Industrial Technology Research Institute in Taiwan. Dr. Yoon Kim, President and Chief Strategy Officer at 12 Labs. Mika Takagi, Director General and Chief Representative at NEDO, Washington, D.C. And Chandra Venkatraman, also the Principal Research Scientist for the R&D Division at Hitachi. So thank you all so much. I want to start the conversation by asking a very kind of overview question, and this is for all of you to answer. I know 30 minutes is not a lot of time to kind of delve into these questions. So if you could give us, each of you, if you could give us your perspective about one of the key features that you believe has been critical to Asia's tech successes. What key feature of the innovation playbook that you think has been most successful? If Chih-I, I can start with you and we can just go down the line.
Sure. So first I would say the education system. And our education system in Taiwan may not be perfect. We don't have too many Nobel Prize winners, but we cultivate a lot of talented engineers. And our education system somehow can attract the top tier students to choose engineering school as their major. Unlike other countries, and the top tier student might want to go to business school, law school, or medical school. But in Taiwan, our education system attracts a lot of high school students are willing to go to engineering school. And that's first. And the second, the government, I should give some credit to our government. And 50 years ago, Taiwan is transformed from the traditional industry, at that time we are making clothes, plastic, and our government decide to kind of move from traditional industry to high tech. So, that's where our semiconductor industry started. So we should give some credit to our government. And the third one is the collaboration between the university and the industry. And I myself, I work at the ITRI, and ITRI is the largest research institute in Taiwan. We bridge the fundamental research in university and the industry. So I'm also a professor in the university. At university, we do some fundamental research, but may not be practical. But at ITRI, we really bridge the fundamental research to the industry, so we can move the high tech or technology to become a real product. And the last one, and the most important one, over the last 50 years, we already built up an ecosystem and the infrastructure. And for example, a lot of countries now want to build their semiconductor industry, but for semiconductor industry, it's not you spend money to build a fab. That's not going to work. You need an infrastructure around that, and that requires time. So I would say our playbook in Taiwan is over from the education, from government, and the infrastructure we already built for the last 50 years.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to add to what Chih said by mentioning that South Korea also has a great wealth of resources in tech talent in general. I graduated from a school called Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, which was founded about 50 years ago by the government to make sure that we breed the best people that work on science and technology. And I think to this day, KAIST has been a beacon in terms of nurturing and fostering tech talent, not only in the academia, but also in fostering startups. Many of Korea's unicorn startups come from founders who graduated from KAIST. I also think that Korea has a very exciting mix of consumer and enterprise, from semiconductors to mobile services. And the consumer spending and interest in high tech is quite high. And I think that also the acceleration of speed of innovation and the way that innovation is executed between startups and industry and academia is at a very, very fast pace. And we all know that AI has really accelerated pace of innovation and growth. I think South Korea is quite conducive to such an environment.
Hi, so in case of Japan, I try to think about the specific playbook that we have, but I think it's more evolving over the years. So after the war, we started with this catch-up with the US and European on technology, but that led us into economic growth and then the trade war between US and Japan. And because of the trade war, we actually have to start developing our own technologies. And later, our bubble economy bursted. The companies spending on R&D kind of decreased. So that's when Japanese government started doing this 5-year innovation, like science and technology plan that gets renewed every 5 years. So it's been evolving, and the latest policy that we have is more about startup ecosystem building with the goal of increasing the amount of VC funding by tenfolds in 5 years until 2027, which we are halfway through. But I'm happy to say that we have been evolving based on the conditions surrounding us on science and technology and innovation and deployment policy. And throughout all those years, if there's one thing that we can be proud of is, I think, the manufacturing base in Japan. There has been some hollowing out effect. And Japanese manufacturing base has been expanding into Asian countries, but we still have large portion of that, especially with regard to critical supply chains and stuff. So we are proud about that, and also quality assurance, and some good labor force with good education as well. It might not be the top talent with like rocket science, but we do have this base that we can utilize, especially looking at the coming few years with this geopolitical uncertainty. I think we can utilize this space that we have.
Thank you for the opportunity. I come from Hitachi R&D. Hitachi R&D is spread all over the world, and our perspective is more from that industrial space. How AI gets applied to an industrial setting. While we do a lot of application and research on AI for other areas, but the specific thing is in the industrial space. The first phase was bringing AI with IT with OT. OT is operational technology. That was the IoT era. Now the latest one is how OT, operational technology with AI. So our interest is, and the disruptive innovation is how to bring a very reliable AI into the industrial space. That's the key innovation we think we are making in this field.
No, that's really fascinating. We've kind of touched very different but complementary topics, whether that's basic research, whether that's government initiatives, strong educational workforce, startups that are really, benefiting from all of these as well. I'd like to kind of talk a little bit more about like the collaboration piece. I know in your kind of statements just now, we've talked a little bit about what's happening in the country, how that collaboration across industry sectors, academia, and whatever is working. But how would you see collaboration in a global sense, bilaterally, regionally? What is the factors that you believe help strengthen and scale technology leadership and competitiveness?
Yeah, I think the best collaboration example I can have is the foundry model. Everyone here probably know Taiwan is pretty good on semiconductor industry, but that's based on the semiconductor foundry. The foundry business is we collaborate with the designer, with the product company, with the equipment company, with the material supplier. We don't make our own product. It's unlike the so-called integrated device manufacturing company where they design their product, they manufacture their product, and they sell their product. So it's a two different model. Foundry model is based on collaboration. And for the manufacturing department in the IDM companies such as Intel, their manufacturing department only need to collaborate with one customer, their internal customer. But for foundry company, they have to collaborate with hundreds of different customers. So they have the experience to collaborate with the design company, the product company. So we have the experience and we understand the benefit of the collaboration. And so the foundry model is a good example for the collaboration you just mentioned. And the ITRI actually, everyone knows TSMC is the best semiconductor company in the world now, but actually TSMC is founded at ITRI, and then now we at ITRI we are trying to launch another foundry, and we call it AI foundry in Taiwan. So we try to duplicate the success story of the semiconductor, and we now want to kind of launch an AI foundry. So for AI foundry, we want to bring the AI technology into different industrial segments. So for example, at ITRI, we collaborate, everyone knows Taiwan is good at doing the manufacturing. So for the last few years, ITRI collaborate with our industry, for example, the panel, the display industry, semiconductor industry, printed circuit board industry. So we collect a lot of data. For the AI, you need a lot of data. So from the ITRI also, we have a lot of the different departments for try to bring the AI into different industry. We need different discipline. We need a cross-discipline collaboration. So at ITRI, actually, we have the microelectronic department, we have ICT department, we have mechanical department, mechanical engineering department, chemistry department, biomedical, and the energy department. We pretty much cover every discipline. So for AI and the collaboration, actually we need to bring the AI into different segments. So we need a lot of collaboration, try to kind of use the AI, the power of AI, try to benefit to the different industry. So, and also at ITRI, we have more than 500 engineers with AI discipline. So we try to use this advantage, and we want to collaborate with the United States company, the startup, the VC, and to try to bring it to Taiwan and to use our strengths on manufacturing data. We provide the data, and we also collaborate with our local industry. We try to bring in the startup and VC into Taiwan and form the collaboration system. So to kind of maximize the power of AI into different industries.
That's great. And just kind of harking on that R&D component, Chandra, I wonder if you could jump in and talk a little bit more about your experience at Hitachi.
Yeah, I think collaboration is key to making progress. And AI is a multidisciplinary set of skills. So we did two things. One is an internal collaboration and external collaboration. In the internal collaboration, we set up something called AICOE, Center of Excellence. The AICOE is not centered in the physical sense, but each of the countries bring in their own expertise. For example, Japan is very strong in its manufacturing and the factory, and failure is not an option. Everything works. Whereas in the other geographies, it's a little different. For example, in India, it is all about scale at an extremely low cost. So in the US, we are a lot more agile. Companies are prepared to take a chance and do a POC, POV. So this center of excellence basically provides strategy, a common platform. Data is key to any AI research. So even providing data, whether it is a wind turbine or a Shinkansen bullet train, to make that kind of data, industrial data, available for researchers. And the last one is best practices. So this is how we do it internally and share a lot of the knowledge, not only within R&D, but also to our business division. On an external level, there are also a number of things that's happening in the industry. For example, we collaborate with NVIDIA on where AI in the industrial setting can be, we can make a lot more progress, or with Azure and Microsoft or Google and so on. So both, and including universities, both the collaboration has to happen intern, external, at the end of the day to provide value to the customer. A lot of times we collaborate with the customer. For example, Penske, who is the largest leasing company of trucks, and we monitor close to 10,000 trucks a day. Close to 1 million transactions are coming into our system where we analyze that data. So collaboration is key, and collaboration at every level is a must for us to make progress.
Great.
Thank you.
And Mika, if I can have you just chime in as well, especially with your long experience and expertise, working on collaboration, international and regional as well. What is your take?
Yeah, so you mentioned, perfectionism. So I have to admit that historically, Japanese companies are mostly doing R&D on their own. Within the company, it's more linear process, but it's changing a lot. So those companies are actually starting to invest in startups by the form of CVCs or invested in VCs as LPs. It's more of a strategic investment rather than pure investment. So if you look at the VC funding source in Japan, in comparison with the US, we have a lot of corporate funding toward the VCs, whereas in the US it's more from pension funds. And I think that will benefit the large companies. It's quicker acquisition of new technologies, and they do have the manufacturing base to make that happen. Actually, I get a lot of quotes from US startups trying to find manufacturer that can, materialize their technology in Japan. I think it's a good collaboration, not only within the Japanese companies, but with, within US and Japan as well. And also, there's a lot of Japanese startups who is trying to come to the US to seek for tech partners or seek for funding. So that's another thing. But I'm happy to say that we do have this set of companies from small to large corporations and including the startups. And I think that could be a good, opportunity of the collaboration.
That's great. And talking about companies, especially startups, Yoon, you have been engaged with startups, going back between Silicon Valley and Seoul as well, including San Francisco. So could you give us your take on this idea of collaboration?
Yeah, I mean, collaboration is not just a strategy or an option, but for our company, 12 Labs, it's basically the way of life. It's culture, and the company was founded in Korea, first of all, by Korean founders who wanted to actually change the world by building a video understanding technology 4 years ago when most of the world was looking at language understanding and building language models such as OpenAI's GPT-3. So it needed capital to accelerate the development. So the founders actually came to San Francisco and they got US capital to accelerate the growth. So we basically say our company was born or incubated in Seoul, but accelerated in Silicon Valley. And so on a daily basis, we have scientists on AI collaborating with machine learning engineers and product engineers in San Francisco. So we call it a Seoul Francisco collaboration. It goes on throughout the day and the week and the month. I think it's quite interesting because for top talent in Korea, it's rare to find an opportunity where their technical capabilities and their investments in terms of research and development can actually impact customers outside Korea. Because 12 Labs, most of the customers we have are in North America, and we're expanding globally to Europe as well. So that's one example of collaboration. Because we develop video understanding technology, we tend to think about how do we actually then use the technology that we have, which is software on the cloud, to then collaborate globally across the country. And if I worked at Apple, and Apple's all about heavy integration of software and hardware and services. And so if we have a video understanding technology that's basically the visual cortex to any machine, and if you imagine that, including those drones that just flew by and are doing the thing just in front of us, if you have autonomous machines that have eyes, then you can think of many different scenarios where either the hardware, which are the drones and the autonomous machines, the software, including the layers of course, hardware includes manufacturing of chips and semiconductors, but also the actual encapsulated devices. And then you combine that with software technologies such as AI and machine learning and operational systems. And then on top of that, you build services, both for military, public, and private sectors. You can see how important a very deep collaboration between hardware, software, and services would be in the AI era. And it just turns out that, as Mika mentioned, Japan and Korea and Taiwan are all very strong in manufacturing and hardware. And I believe that US is quite strong in terms of AI, technology platforms. And then obviously each country has a different flavor in terms of services. And so if you have opportunities to combine all those three into, again, innovation that actually cannot be reached without the three trilateral collaboration, I think that's an interesting idea to
That's great. If I may ask you, when we think about U.S. and Asia collaboration in general, I'd love to have you kind of put your future hats on and think about the next 5 to 10 years. Where do you think are the areas or the initiatives or the approaches that you think would propel both countries, all these nations, global tech leadership forward?
I'll just start. I think it's obvious in the area of robotics, both for consumer and public and defense applications. We will have to have collaborations between the US and Asia.
Yeah, that's great. And I will also love for all of you to chime in as well in terms of kind of your perspectives, your foresight.
So in the US, we talk about bringing manufacturing back. I think it's a great opportunity to disrupt the way we do new manufacturing by bringing in AI. And that is happening in the developing countries where they have an opportunity to leapfrog. So like India, they bypassed the landlines and went straight to mobile phones, the smartphones. The same way we can build the new factories. In fact, Hitachi has built a factory of the future close to Washington, DC, where what does a modern factory look like? And I can see a time when in the 5 to 10 years, a lot of the factory innovations will have a lot of the AI components built into every aspect of it, right from design, manufacturing, development, customer service, and that the future would be even hardware or products will be as a service. So the responsibility to take care of the health of the product will be with the OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, and they will instrument it enough with the AI knowledge to make it easy for the customers who are buying it and using it.
That's great.
And I would say the Asian country that are good at manufacturing and hardware, and the United States are good at AI. So as I mentioned, the AI model, AI foundry I just mentioned. So the Asian country like Taiwan, we can provide the manufacturing expertise and the data, and bringing the AI methodology and the model, and bring these two together, we can collaborate together to make a lot of industry better.
Well, yeah, I echo Chandra's point on AI, how AI can change manufacturing. I think that's the short-term harvest of AI that we can, have the application of. And since we all mentioned that the Asian countries have this manufacturing base and the market, and I think it's a perfect place for using AI.
That's great. So, the market demands very strong, talented workforce, strong industrial base, and then just this opportunity for collaboration that, you all have also had deep experience in over decades long, working on how can we advance innovation, how can we think about what is next after AI, emerging technology and whatnot. This panel is too short, I believe, to really go more deep into the different structures, the different cultures, and how we can think about further collaborating. And I hope that some of the conversation we had today on stage and with our audience is really an opportunity to think more about further collaboration. How can we learn from the lessons learned, the best practices of these Asian nations innovation playbook, and where are the opportunities lie for further U.S. and Asian nations collaboration as well. This is the Asian Playbook for Tech Innovation panel, and hopefully one of the many beginnings of more conversations, because if we want to go further, we have to go together. So thank you once again. If I could ask the audience to please join us in thanking our panelists for their contribution.